Hello and welcome to my blog. Today I'd like to give you a tip on stress. We all know those situations where you're going to be stressed, a time when you're doing something that's difficult for you, whether it's to do a big presentation or a pitch, whether it's going to see a difficult client, going to see your boss who might be in a difficult mood, and you already know that before you even enter into that situation, your level of stress has risen. And I want to give you a 2-minute tip, something that I hope can help you actually reduce that stress and help you perform at your very best. And that tip actually comes from the world of studying body language and its impact. We all know that the spoken word plus how we use our body, and particularly our facial expressions, can really influence how we communicate and how effective our communication is. But body language is often looked at in terms of how other people, so how we see their body language and how that matches with what they're saying, and also how other people see our body language and how that matches with what we're actually saying. But recent studies have said that actually body language itself can have an impact on us. In other words, the position and the way we use our bodies can actually change what goes on up here. So our body actually, and our mind and our whole system reacts to our body language. So if we change our body language, we can actually change internally what happens. This happens particularly in the area of power and dominance versus weakness in body language. And dominant body language is something we see all the time. We see it in the animal world and we also see it in the human world. And it's where people take up space. We see it when Usain Bolt wins the 100 meters, he puts his hands in the air and he puts his head up. He's taking space, he's dominant, he's beaten everybody, and he wants to demonstrate that by making himself as big as possible. But we also see it in the everyday, particularly when parents are reprimanding children. They put their hands on their hips and they look down at the children and they say what they shouldn't have been doing or what they should have done and so on. So it's very common and very natural. And if you're watching this in the office, look around the office now. You'll see people with their hands behind their heads, a classic dominant position. People spread out and sprawled on sofas, a classic dominant position. So this kind of behavior is very, very common. People who feel they are powerful, they automatically take up more space. But the powerless and those who feel weak actually do the opposite. They make themselves smaller. So they hunch their shoulders, they tend to lower their heads, they bring their hands into their body and they take up less space. But what does taking up space and not taking up space have to do with levels of stress? Well, it's very interesting. In the US, they've done a study that even if you are stressed, if for just 2 minutes you take up a dominant pose, the level of stress hormone, cortisol, in your system actually goes down. So your levels of stress go down if you take up a dominant position, even if you started off stressed. So if you reduce your cortisol, you can reduce your stress. And you can do all of that just by taking a dominant position and taking up space. And just for 2 minutes. So the next time you have a difficult interview, a pitch, or dealing with a difficult client, do a power pose for 2 minutes beforehand. It could give you the edge and the confidence boost you need. But my tip is, do it in private.